Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Taurus. In February 2020, what is going on, Taurus? How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. All right, guys, off the bat, happy Valentine's Day for those who will be celebrating, and for those who aren't celebrating also. No matter what you're doing, friends or family, lovers, long-term committed relationships, new baes, new boo-boos, whatever you're doing, I hope it is a day full of love and contentment and happiness in your life, whether you're solo, dolo, single, Pringle, or you're married with 15 kids. I really don't care. I just want you to have a wonderful day, celebrated with love and joy and happiness and connection with other people, okay? That's kind of what I want Valentine's Day to be, meaning to me going forward in my life. I used to be very cynical about it. I used to be very like, it's a corporate holiday, and, greeting cards and chocolates and blah, blah, blah. And that's still very much true. It's still, kind of very apparent as to what Valentine's Day can mean for many people. It's just a day to go out and buy a box of chocolates and roses for your loved one. But going forward, for myself personally, I want it to be a day where we show appreciation for the people that we have in our lives and everything like that. So that's what I'm wishing for you guys if you're watching this video, okay? Taurus. I've celebrated. Yeah, I have celebrated off camera. I have done that. But I have shuffled off camera as well. And that is your main spread there. I'm going to shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. The timestamp is in the description box below if you want to jump ahead. Also in the description box is the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. It's pretty simple. There are 3 types of readings to choose from. You let me know which one you want. You pay me through PayPal. I upload you a private video here on YouTube, and you have it forever and ever and ever. But if you have questions before you place an order, feel free to email me at the same email address, and I will answer you as soon as possible. And remember, guys, liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, doing all that fun stuff keeps the channel growing. I've enjoyed the growth I've had so far doing this work, and I just want to see that continue to go and expand. So if you want to help me with that, doing any and all of that stuff would be amazing. Cool? Cool. All right, guys, let's get into it. Please show me Taurus's outcome for February 2020. Taurus's outcome in February 2020. Please show me. There's not like a really cool way to say 2020. It's like an awkward year to say. Repeating the same number. The only one who's like ever done it successfully is probably Barbara Walters. This is 2020. All right, bottom of the deck is the overall energy. It's kind of a side position, so I'm just going to confirm which way to go with this one. Which way for Taurus, please? Yeah, okay, thank you. Cool. All right, Taurus, let's flip what came face down for you. I laugh only because I see you've got 2 repeats from Aries reading. So that's the only reason I chuckled there. All right. And I think this is going to look pretty good. Yeah, we did a good job. All right, guys, let's see what's happening. Please show me where Taurus is in February 2020. No, I'm kidding. Please show me Taurus in February 2020. Please show me. Okay, thank you. Got it. All right, Taurus, coming into February, you come in with the Star card. Major Arcana for Aquarius, so some of you could be dealing with an Aquarius, but you don't have to be. Oh, boy. In a place of healing, in a place of rest, in a place of contemplation and reflection, I feel as though, Taurus, you're in your head, in your thoughts, in your heart, really mending yourself, healing yourself, putting yourself back together in some cases after some very tumultuous events in your life. But it feels, I don't want to say different because I don't know you. I don't know what you've done previously. But this feels, okay, poignant, significant, thank you. This feels incredibly particular as a healing point in your life, Taurus, because I think you're looking at it. I did say emphasis on the head, and this is the card of Aquarius, and Aquarius is an air sign. So that could be why I'm emphasized to talk about this in your mental space or what goes on in your mind. I think maybe in some ways you might be applying logic to the situation, or you're trying to rationalize or understand what happened in an objective way, in a removed way. And that is possibly different. It feels as though maybe previously, not in all of your cases, but in some, when it comes to healing or having to get over trying times in your life, or certain losses in your life, or disappointments in your life, Taurus, it feels as though maybe at a previous time you were heart forward, as is the way of a Taurus, ruled by Venus, very loving and adoring and romantic sign, second house concerns, things like it's a very it's in the context of self. What did I do? What didn't I do? That kind of thing. Versus not the opposite, what did they do? That's not what you're doing now. What you're doing is now looking at, what did we do? There we go. That's it. What did we do? How did we come to that situation together? How did we respond to one another? How did we get to a point of that in our connection, or something like that. It's taking accountability for the self, yes, but also the other person, yes, and how you functioned as a unit, or how you functioned as a team, how you functioned in partnership, how you functioned as a mother-daughter team, as a father-son team, whatever it is. I feel as though the healing aspect of this star card is trying to look at three things, right? You, Taurus, yourself, the individual, the other person or other people involved, whoever they are, however many people there are, and the combination of both of those individual parts, right? So there's a complex layered evaluation going on, or maybe not evaluation, but reflection on what has happened, because this star card is letting me know that in the past, Taurus, things were not what you wanted or what they wanted, and they just kind of went to hell, right? In some form or fashion, shit went to hell, okay? People got hurt, people felt all kinds of ways, and it was terrible is what they're telling me. It was terrible. But they're also letting me know there's been enough time away to get to this point of reflection. This is not, if this happened to you yesterday, come back to this reading in a few weeks or months, right? But this is talking to people where something was terrible or lost or just disheveled and destroyed weeks, months, or years ago. More than likely months and years ago. If it was weeks, give it more time and come back to this reading in the future. But like, here's what I'm feeling. Another way for me to translate this message to you. What I'm feeling is, and this is very strange, but I feel my heart but on my back. Okay? A lot of us can feel our heart towards the front, towards the chest, right? You feel your heartbeat. If you put your hand over your heart, you can feel it sometimes. What I'm feeling is like a heartbeat on my back. And it's giving me this sensation as if my heart is being pulled out from behind me. Like I'm leaving my heart somewhere. There we go. Thank you. Yeah. It's like I left my heart somewhere. In some cases, my heart was ripped out from me. And there's a disconnect here, because as I have this sensation, again, I'm trying to translate what I'm feeling. And this is not literally happening to me, of course. This is not a sci-fi movie. But what it feels like is my heart is being removed from the back, but my mind and all of me is still very conscious. My body still functions. I'm still able to remember who I am. I'm Jay. I'm a tarot reader. I'm doing this. I'm doing this before I go to work tomorrow. I'm doing this before I go downstairs and change my laundry over from the washer to the dryer. I'm still so conscious and aware of everything I am and everything I have to do, but I feel detached from my heart. I don't know what that means to you. I hope that translates, because as easily as I can feel it, it's also not pleasant. Or easily as I can talk about it, I should say. Easily as I can talk about it, easily as I can kind of explain the nuances of it, it's still very, like, jarring in a way. Like, I'm functioning without my heart. How is that possible? So some of you might be thinking or feeling that way in your reflection, in this time that you're trying to understand what has transpired in your life, right? Interesting. So what else is going on for you, Taurus? Well, yeah, what is this? Not this. I thought I had like a bug bite on my wrist or something. Anyway, deeply. Yeah, okay, and she's facing, yes, okay, thank you. So the orientation of the star card, the figure on the star card, is facing to the left, and so what she's facing towards is the moon card, major arcana for Pisces, Taurus. So some of you could be dealing with a Pisces, but you don't have to be. Ultimately, this moon is talking about the deep river, the deep ocean of emotions that are present in the situation entirely. Not just your emotions. I think you're trying to give consideration to how other people feel or other people's emotional states. Oh, okay. In the case of other people's emotional states, there's some of you who are very aware of, or you are suspicious of, the emotional soundness of another person, or the mental soundness, the mental stability of another person. This is in a very few cases where you are analyzing, or you are wanting to analyze, or you're wanting a definitive understanding or diagnosis of someone else's emotional or mental state. That's in a very small few cases. I just wanted to point that out because you're looking for it. Not only is the character on the star card looking, you've got these two spotlights on the moon. And to put spotlights on something is to show them in all their glory, so to speak. In there's no question, there's no hint or guesswork here. That it's just purely shown. You can see it fully, right? Now, the irony of those who are looking for clear, definitive answers on someone's emotional or mental state is with the moon card, nothing is ever clear. As much as I just said with the artwork, because that's showing me the intention. Right? That's showing me the intention of Taurus. Taurus wants to shine a light on. Taurus wants this truth to be exposed, or the truth to come out, or, to finally know for sure whether someone is this or that, or they have this or that, right? The irony here is, according to the tarot and how we interpret it, you will never have a clear sign of what is emotionally going on with this person or mentally going on with this person. The moon card can talk to mental illness, can talk to delusions and illusions that we carry within ourselves or that exist in relationships with other people, right? And we don't necessarily always know for sure what's going on. There's the layers to it, or levels to the person or the people you're dealing with, or the situation itself. There's a complexity and an interwoven element to the emotions, good or bad, positive or negative, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just like it's all mixed in together. So it would be impossible, essentially, to get clear-cut answers of yes or no, black or white, up or down, right? In terms of, is this person, no offense, is this person crazy? Some of you are thinking that. Am I crazy, right? And, crazy is not a diagnosis, not a medical diagnosis, right? But some of you are looking for that. Some of you might be encouraging, who you're dealing with, or you're thinking to yourself, do I need to go see a therapist? Do I need to go see a psychiatrist? Should I put myself on medication? Should they be on medication? Whatever it is. And for whatever reason, that answer or the answer that you think would be attached to a diagnosis is not clear. So there's something here about the complexity of someone's emotional state or their mental state, and it's just perhaps from a physiological or biological standpoint, you could never get the clear answer because we're not all based off of what we are genetically, right? Some of us have genetic predispositions for this, but then it doesn't develop. The symptoms never come up, or it never, the genes never turn on, so to speak. In some cases, other times those genes are on and they were on from the gate. You know what I mean? So it's just like you can't rely 100% on biology or physiology, right? Sometimes it is down to the nurturing aspect, or the way a person was raised, or the environments and the experiences that they have had that cause certain behaviors or certain tendencies and behaviors, okay? So and I am not a doctor, did not get any type of degree in any type of medical anything. That's just a very base knowledge, very base, Okay, very, you know, Jeopardy for $200, you know, not Jeopardy for, you know, 1,000, Alex. Okay, very low level knowledge of what I have. And that's what this feels like, is I think you, Taurus, or someone that you're dealing with wants straight up, bona fide, 100% certified answers of why is this happening? Why did that happen? How come this? How come that? And it just cannot happen. So there's a crux, not a crux, there's a challenge here to accept the unknown, because that's the other thing about the moon card. It's about the unknown. It's 12th house energy, things that are hard to discern, hard to understand, hard to fathom, and in some cases hard to accept. Because, you know, 8th house, Scorpio's house, is a house of death. 12th house is a house of endings. Similar energy. Similar. Death, in terms of tarot, is more about transformation. Endings are endings in tarot. The 12th house, that's the end of the line. That's the last house. You start back over with the first house. Goes right back to Aries, right? But ultimately, there are no other zodiacs to come. There are no other qualities or aspects of life that we are able to delve into. 12th is the end of the line. So there's something here maybe about things coming to an end, certain losses, certain endings that you or someone else are still reflecting upon, are possibly having a hard time accepting. Right? And what did I say when I was talking about the star card? My heart was out of my body and it was left behind me. I'm living without my heart. That is going to hit for some of you guys, and I don't know in which way, because endings in terms of tarot, and especially a general reading like this, are not always talking about mortal death. If it is, my condolences, okay? But for those where you're worried about me saying endings and talking about the 8th house and all that kind of stuff, please don't think like I'm, you know, predicting anybody's demise. No. If someone has passed, or if there's someone who is near to passing and you're concerned about them or your relationship with them, you already know. This is not, you know, no. So just wanted to clear that up really quickly. So you're reflecting on the emotional state of yourself and other people, and the context, the bigger context. That's the other thing. 12th house energy here. Why am I mentioning 12th house? 11th house energy. There we go. Thank you, with the star card. 11th house energy is about expanded views, world views, if not galactic or cosmic views. Aquarius is of the higher mind, right? Aquarius is very much all parties involved, you know, the global perspective, yeah? So there's something here where you're having a larger view or a more bird's eye view of the situation, as opposed to being more internal or insular, which is normally what Taurus does, okay? Now, what else happens? Yeah, man, I see it. So all down here is what this is based off of. What's going on up here is how it is in the present moment and going forward. I think this is contextual, right? Is that right? Contextual, thank you. So, what else happens in your day-to-day life right now? What can we see? If I was to observe a Taurus right now, what would I see? Or what would you observe of yourself? You have the 3 of Pentacles, right? So partnership, negotiations, working with people, contractual energy here with the 3 of Pentacles. This is, no. I'm just like, third party, I mean, okay. Now they're like, very few. Okay, there we go. Very few. Very few of you, according to them, are dealing with third-party energy. And if you've been with me for a minute, Taurus, you already know I don't jump on 3s to mean third-party. It has to contextually make sense. And in the bigger scheme of things, I think it could make sense if you all, but again, it's historical. Thank you. It's historical. You already know. So if this is about an illicit marital affair, this isn't, all right, sorry about that, Taurus. Ran out of storage, so here we go. What was I saying? Historical, yes, historical. So for some of you, again, this isn't like me coming in here with breaking news that you've never heard of before. If you know your situation had an illicit affair, an extramarital thing, or you know chronic cheating, whatever your situation was, you already know it. If you knew that the third party was, you know, overreaching in-laws, okay, that you already know. If you know that the third party was drugs and alcohol or other types of addiction, or, you know, just general, you know, ennui and just like listlessness and depression and other types of things, again, a lot of that stuff exists in the moon card, everything I just mentioned, except for like the extramarital affairs. Like maybe, but no, that's not, you know, But the drugs and the alcohol and the ennui of life, the listlessness that we feel, a lot of that is in the moon card. Anyway, so if that plays for you, third party situation, take it. If it doesn't, don't hold on to it, and don't try to force it into your life. Now, what I'm feeling though, because again, this top line they're letting me know is more what's happening now, what do you call that? Pushing. Yeah, thank you. Pushing. Propulsion is the word they wanted me to use, but I don't know how to turn that into a verb right now. Propelling. Thank you. That's the word. What is propelling you or the situation forward? There is this interest in partnership. There is this interest in negotiation. There is this interest in making things work. You see one person, putting the pentacle up on the wall, the other person maybe looking at swatches or something like that, going over the game plan, and then the man with the newspaper is kind of like, I view it as someone who's like, again, like they're involved, but they're not involved, or they care, but they're not like overly invested. So it's like an overseer, like the silent business partner, something like that. So what I'm getting and how this could play is this could be you in terms of family issues. This could be you and brothers and sisters or parents and cousins or whoever needs to work out a problem coming together, personal family meetings, maybe working with a mediator or a therapist or something like that. And, going to sessions, talking about what has transpired in the past, talking about what to do moving forward, because we want to work as a family. I want to work with you as a husband and wife team. I want to work with you in the sense of work out our relationship, right? I want to work on this together as a husband and wife. I want to work on this together as, mother and child, something like that. And there could be, the quote unquote third party or the third person involved can just be someone who's neutral, who's just there to hear you both out, or is another person who is involved, but they're kind of in the middle. So that could be, this could be about parents who might be separated, or they're working on reconciliation, or they're not sure of what to do together as a couple, but we have a child who's of age, or we have a child who's old enough who can have input. Me and your mom, or me and your dad, or me and whoever, we're going through some problems right now, but we don't want to hide that from you. I don't know what you're doing. This is just an example, It could be you're thinking about separating, but you don't want to not do it without your child's consent, but you don't want to ignore it. You don't want to act like you're not separating in front of the kids. Or if you're separating, maybe you're still living together, right? Because pentacles can talk about physical surroundings, right? So you might still live in the same house, but you're separated or divorced in a marital sense. What does that mean? How are you going to cohabitate with one another? That kind of thing, right? So there's open negotiation, open discussion, open collaboration about what to do moving forward, right? I feel there's an intent from someone's energy to be very mature about it. And there's a little bit of apprehension with someone else's energy. And that could be linked to your concerns or whoever's concerns about emotional and mental issues, okay? Ultimately, though, Taurus, for you, there's under construction. Yes, under construction. This is not, whatever situation this is in your life, whatever relationships this pertains to, nothing is finished. There is still work to be done, still healing to be done, still understanding to be gotten to, or provided to the other person, or provided to you, right? There are some missing pieces that still need to be put into the puzzle before we could say, oh, that's the puzzle of this phase of Taurus's life, and let's start making the next puzzle. You know what I mean? There's still things under construction here, under works here, okay? Interesting. Okay, so now, again, that's what's going on here now. What I see here is what has happened in the past, or for those who are quote unquote late to the game. I'm using that very facetiously. Late to the game. We all are on our own personal journeys. Time is fluid. What works for you in the now was somebody else's past. What works for you now is somebody else's future. I hope that makes sense. So contextually, I'm going to refer to this as the past. This could be happening right now or just happened recently for many of you, but I'm telling you, what I feel is that the majority of the people that I'm talking to, this happened months or years ago. I'm just going to say that, okay? So what happened was we had some imbalance in the situation. We had unhappiness in the situation. We had falseness in the situation. We had a lack of balance, even though we have the Six of Pentacles in the upright. It's telling me that this is not true. It's not what you or someone else thought it was. It was as much as, these scales are proving to be even or balanced, right? On the card, they're very balanced. There was some issue where that either never truly was the way. Thank you. It's underneath the moon. That is the way someone perceived it, you or someone else, Taurus. I think this is fair. I think everything is fine. Everything is balanced and cool and copacetic here. No complaints. Somebody had that thought. Somebody had that state of mind, that perspective under the moon card, right? Emotionally, this is what I feel. Conversely, or maybe at the same time, someone else was like, no, that's not how it is. That's not what I feel. That's not my experience here. So we have a difference in experience. We have a difference in memory. Okay. Memory. Oh, with the kids on the card there. So this could play in family relationships heavily, where, in the past, like I said, months and years ago. Years can mean, 1 year or more, right? Or 2 years or more, rather. So I could be talking about something from 25 years ago. In 1995, some shit went down, maybe, in some of your lives. But that's what I'm saying, or that's what they're drawing me to. The memory of something. Someone's memory is different from someone else's memory. And we're talking about the same experience. So we could be talking about brothers and sisters who grew up in the same house who have different recollections of what happened in that household. Oh, well, mom and dad treated us quite fairly. And then the other person is like, are you fucking crazy? No, they did not. This is what happened to me. This is my experience. You don't remember that? I don't remember that. And that can tear a family apart. That can really ruin relationships. That can leave people with a lot of sour grapes and a lot of bitterness in their hearts and minds when your own brother or sister or close relative or whoever, friend, husband, wife, doesn't validate your experience, doesn't recall or says they don't recall, says they don't understand what you're talking about. I don't know who is quote unquote telling the truth and who is not, but what I'm sensing is a difference of opinion, a difference of perspective, a difference of memory, really. And that's, I can't dispute it because I don't know the specifics, Taurus, right? And it's going to be different for all of you, right? And some of you, it's not even family. It's like, just friendships. It's not about friendship. It's about, a relationship that you have with coworkers or something like that. But there is just a difference of perspective here that is hard to reconcile. If someone says, I saw it, I remember it this way, and you remember it another way, who's supposed to change their perspective? So that's what I'm able to tell you as the outsider. I wasn't there, so I have no fucking clue. So there's something here about two people recalling the same circumstance, the same situation, the same experiences or similar experiences, upbringing, work conditions, love relationships, whatever. And someone says it was great, everything was even keeled, everything was peachy keen, and somebody else is like, no, everything was out of whack, it was unfair, it was detrimental to me, it was detrimental to that one, it was even detrimental to you. And that can also happen. And I'm just going to use this as a point of illustration. Some people, and this again, well, I was talking about that with you here, right? With biology and physiology, right? Yeah, I think that was you guys, or was that Aries? I can't remember. Anyway, this happens, right? Two people can grow up in the same household. Just to use the example of growing up in a dysfunctional household specifically. Two siblings grew up in an abusive household. One says it was fine, everything was cool. Sure, there were troubles sometimes, but ultimately, I got over it. I'm healthy. I'm healed. I'm fine. right? The other person, the other sibling is like, it was miserable. I hated myself. I hated going home. I hated everybody that lived there. It was painful. I was heartbroken. I can't believe that my parents did this to me, blah, 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 or did this to me and my siblings, right? And they're devastated. Same household, right? Same experience, same, everything's quote unquote the same, except we're talking about two different individuals who have two different viewpoints on life. Or, at some point you grow up, you leave the home. Maybe. I can't get into like the whole point of illustrating it, but I think that's what we're talking about here. And how can we necessarily rectify? Yeah, how can we necessarily rectify or reconcile that? They believe what they believe, you believe what you believe, based on your own experiences, based on your own worldview and your own perspective of the situation at hand. Is it possible that reconciliation or coming to an agreement is even plausible, possible, necessary? I don't know. No clue, but that's kind of, I think, the bigger question. The more worldview, global view, cosmic view that the star card might be inspiring in you, Taurus, is it even necessary that I and this other person share the same understanding of something that happened in the past? They feel and they understand the situation from their perspective, and I feel and understand the situation from my perspective. And those two things can exist at the same time, neither canceling the other out, neither being more true than the others. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I feel as though that is what's going on with the star card. Yeah? Both things are true at the same time because both people experience things differently. Does that make sense? So, balance was there for somebody. Everything was cool. Everything was calm. Everything was perfect. No complaints, right? Other person says complaints. This was agony. This was terrible. This was an atrocity. This was just the worst thing that ever happened, or whatever. And they're upset. Both sides are upset, I should say. So, again, in the past, or we're talking about things from the past now, right? Meaning we're reflecting currently, possibly with the Three of Pentacles, in some type of counseling session, in some type of, family meeting or whatever you're doing. There's like a reflection back on this. Back in 1998, back in 2004, back in 1974, whenever it was, this is what was going on. And someone's continued perspective, I think it's mostly yours, Taurus, is that there was a lack of authenticity, there was a lack of happiness. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Lack of authenticity with the Page of Cups in the reverse. Water sign energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, could be dealing with a water sign, but you don't have to be. So there's someone here is very upset, sure. Very upset or very disappointed in the way that someone else is remembering the situation. Or they're very upset that it's one of those things, like, even till this day, I'm quoting just an idea of something, just to illustrate it. Even to this day, you still believe this. How could you still believe it after all these years? How could you still say that after all these years? Okay, thank you. After all this time, you don't apologize. You don't say you're sorry about that. You don't admit that you were wrong. You still think this. This is what this is speaking to. This is both in the past and a little bit in the present, where someone is saying, you or them were not mature, we're not authentic, we're not true to what you really felt or meant, and or what you truly needed to be. Because when we have this Page of Cups in reverse, what do we have? We have an inauthentic and immature energy that someone believes exists now or existed then, or both. What I'm sensing is, again, just to illustrate it, it's not everybody's case. If it's not your case, just pull out what you can and leave the rest for everybody else, right? But what I'm again sensing is this idea of growing up in a dysfunctional home, growing up in an abusive home, and someone says, how could you, number one, if we're talking to the person who was perpetrating the abuse, it doesn't have to be parents, siblings can be abusive to each other, right? It doesn't have to be specifically on parents. It could be extended family members, grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles and shit like that, right? And whoever this is, it's kind of like a, how could you still love so-and-so? Or how could you stick by so-and-so knowing that he or she did this to me or them, right? Or how could you, the perpetrator of this energy, still not apologize for what you did to me? Still not apologize for what you did to my brother or my sister or my cousin or whoever. Still can't apologize to what you did to my mother. Stuff like that. And it's very strange. And it's very like convoluted and layered, which I talked about a little bit with the moon card, is at the same time that someone is accusing someone of not being authentic and not being mature and not being, able to come to terms with the tragedy or the dysfunction that existed in a situation, at that same time, someone is being immature by doing that, or exhibiting how much they haven't gotten over it. Yeah? So, this is a tricky energy here. Because I think it's shared amongst multiple people. Because we're talking about, we've been talking this whole time about very intimate relationships. Family, romantic, platonic, whatever. Close people. This is not about casual people that you just met last Tuesday. No. This is about people that you've known the majority of your life or during very important developmental times of your life. Yeah? You've had significant relationships with these people, Taurus, right? And all parties involved have attachment to this Page of Cups. All parties, I'm telling you. Meaning, look at how this page is, or look at where this page is, I should say. Look at where this page is. In front of a vast ocean. And water, if you're unfamiliar, in tarot represents emotions, right? So this person, this figure, stands in front of a huge body of emotion. The moon card has water on it too, and the moon card represents Pisces, again, water sign. So tons of water energy is here. But it's in the reverse. So we have, when we talk about reversal, we have things or concepts or issues of denial, issues of misremembering or suppression of memories. We have issues of overly emotional, of being reactionary, of being volatile, or being given to, quote unquote, the lower emotions, such as anger and rage, or, sadness and depression, things like that. There is just, a gamut of emotional states and feelings that we have here. But everybody involved, even you, Taurus, hasn't necessarily conquered or come to terms with things in a mature, elevated level just yet. I think you're working on it. The Star card does trump the page in terms of tarot, right? It does trump it. So I think you or whoever is in the Star energy, again, it's general, it doesn't even have to be Taurus that is represented by the Star, but in most cases it felt that way. So Taurus, you're working on it, or someone's working on it, heavily working on it. Star card is a big player in healing and I don't want to say reconciliation as in come back, but just like rectifying a situation, finding a remedy, finding a solution, so to speak. But many other energies or many other people involved here are not on that track. They're not at that level. They're not at that conscious attempt just yet. So in some ways we're at an impasse in terms of recognizing the complexity of the situation. Like the way I'm expressing it and the way I'm trying to draw light to what's going on here, some people haven't even done that. And they've lived through tremendous trauma and tremendous abuse or tremendous dysfunction or tremendous heartache and heartbreak and loss, right? And they haven't even talked about it in the way that I'm talking about it with you today. So if you're talking to people or you're trying to make amends with people or you're reflecting on situations where someone doesn't even bring up issues of the past, or when the issues are brought up and the memories are brought up, they leave the room, they change the subject, they don't respond. Like that even makes this a hell of a lot harder to kind of move past, right? So good luck with that, because Again, historically, this bottom line is talking about what has happened in the past, and it still might filter into the present moment sometimes. You have this Nine of Cups in reverse right next to that page, right? So what was, or what we idealize as the happiest relationships or the happiest moments of our lives, or situations and circumstances that are supposed to be healthy and enlightening or enriching, were not. Just were not. So childhood, that was in the crapper. You know, I didn't have a great one myself. And I'm not here to, do, comparisons, but most people think a childhood is supposed to be a positive experience. In many cases, and I don't care if you are Mary Poppins herself, you should have an understanding that that's not the case. That's not reality for millions of children who then become young adults, who then become adults, who then become seniors and all that kind of stuff. That childhood was a crappy foundation for some of you, or some of your partners, or some of your siblings, or some of your friends, or some of your parents, right? Because that's another complex one. If we're talking about your parents having a shitty childhood and then they raised you in a shitty way, shittiness begats shittiness, apparently, right? So there's something here about long history of dysfunction, long history of unsavory upbringings that might be carried on along generations, and you might be the first one in your family, Taurus, to kind of break that trend, to want to push through and not just let these things, these incidences, or these conditions just like go unmonitored or go unchecked, right? So ultimately, the situation that you were involved in, childhood, marriages, friendships, whatever we're talking about, where things went sour or things didn't pan out the way, again, it's idealized. Number one, either someone is or is realizing that they were jaded by that situation. Yeah. Or they're wrestling with it now. They're trying not to, thank you, with the star card right above it, they're trying not to allow this whole thing taint or shade or really wreck what can happen in the future. Trying not to lose optimism and hope. Okay? That's number one. Number two, this Nine of Cups is a wound. Because at the same time that someone's trying not to be optimistic, or not trying to lose their optimism, they're also trying not to fall into a deep pit of bitterness, of constantly feeling betrayed or hurt or manipulated or abused, and all the quote unquote negative feelings associated with that. This is deep. This is deeper than anything a simple tarot reading can give you, okay? But the glory, interesting word, the glory that we associate when we see the Nine of Cups upright. This woman, I mean, she looks like she won the lottery of wine glasses or something. Look at all my wine glasses. Look at all that delicious Merlot that's in those glasses. Look at my bounty, right? She's so happy. She's so proud. She's so contented and fulfilled, right? In the reverse, it's like someone feels like my dreams were shattered because of this, that, or the other. My dreams were shattered because of him, her, or the other, right? So there's as much as there's a need to not lose hope and allow this situation to taint the future, there's also a need or work to be done to release the bitterness and the pain and the hurt and the disappointment from the past. Very tall order, my Taurian friend, because again, I'm telling you, I'm just delivering the message. The work that's gonna be needed for this to wrap itself up or to get to a better place is beyond my expertise. All right? The outcome, Taurus, however, is kind of positive for February, is the Three of Swords in reverse. So, Three of Swords upright, looks like that in this deck. But in the reverse. So, I told you, it's in the past. The hurt, the pain, the suffering, the betrayal, the whatever happened, whoever was involved or whatever, not that they're in the past, but like the ignition point, you know, the start line of the thing is long in the past. So that's good, because that's what I feel. I feel that this energy is like an old scar. You can still see it. You still remember how you got that scar, but your skin is healed over. You know, you got function back in your limb, whatever it is. You know, thank you. Because they're like, well, the scar. Okay. So okay. Just again, it's just an example. It's not everybody's case. If this was about physical abuse, right? The physical body has healed, right? If you have a scar, if you had a broken bone, if, you know, somebody blackened your eye or, you know, knocked your teeth out, you've since gone to the dentist and you've gotten your teeth replaced. You've gotten, you know, fillers or, you know, some type of false teeth or something like that. Your eye has healed, even though, you know, sometimes you get like painful headaches, but ultimately your physical pain has healed. The scarring that you see on your body, or every time you take the false tooth out, you remember, oh, that's when so-and-so punched me dead in my face and knocked my fucking tooth out. So the mental and the emotional pain is still going, which again is what I talked about with the star card. Mental and emotional healing, right? Mental and emotional focused on what is going on here. How do I what is the word? Give it to me. Come on. Transmute? Yes. How do I transmute what I'm feeling now, psychologically, mentally, emotionally? Even though the physical hurt is over with. Right? This is, again, just an example, and not all of you have endured some type of physical abuse, right? And the physical abuse has ended. Why? The relationship has ended. The person is gone. Whether that be you've moved on from each other, or this person, you know, in some cases, if it was like a parent, they have passed away, something like that. It's tricky. It's so tricky. And again, beyond my expertise, because I am not any type of doctor. And I don't want to, you know, I'm not out here being sponsored by, you know, the American Association of Psychologists or anything like that. But I absolutely advocate seeing professionals who are specialized in these areas, Taurus, not just for you, but for everybody who has ever watched one of my videos. I probably talk about going to the therapist or a counselor or, you know, anybody quite often, because, you know, it's a lot to do by yourself. And if you're coming at it from an esoteric space, from a spiritual space associated with tarot, that can only go so far, in my opinion. And I'm a purveyor and a lover of tarot. This is what I do in my spare time, right? This is not an end-all, be-all. This is not a fix-it solution, tarot, meditation, metaphysics. Not solely. You have to combine the two, in my estimation. So if this is hitting for you, and if this gives you some clarity, or if this gives you some type of inspiration to do more, do more. If you've never thought about therapy, or you've never thought about talking, possibly this could have been about bullying in school, right? If you've never thought of confronting your bully, confronting your abuser, confronting the person who broke your heart, confronting the person who betrayed you, or whatever. And I'm not saying to go out and do it. I'm not saying that. But if you've never thought about it, but this has given you something to think about, I guess, that's good. That's progress. To put feasible or more practical moves towards it, I think, is also beneficial. I think you can only pray or meditate and journal and do all that kind of stuff. That all works to a certain point. At some point, I think you have to have other actions behind it. Meaning, if you do have an issue with someone from your past, let's say it was a bad relationship, a bad marriage, right? And your ex-husband or your ex-wife, you know, they really wrecked you in some type of way, right? Write them a letter. Just a suggestion. You don't have to do it, but write them a letter. Send the letter. Give them the letter, right? If you've stayed silent since the end of that relationship, to the end of that phase of your life, in some deep reflection, trying to understand what happened, right? Trying to move past it, but always coming back to some sour point, always, you know, sort of, in some cases, hanging on, latching on to the pain of the past, and you can't let it go. That to me means all that work you've done on the internal space, the reflection, the praying, the meditating, it hasn't gone anywhere. You have to, like I said, transmute. You have to transfer that energy somewhere else. So it has to come out in the physical world. So write a letter, pick up the phone, dial the number. Can we talk? Can I meet you? You know, and I'm not, again, don't know your specifics. Do not take this as bona fide advice, okay? If you were in a tremendously abusive relationship, a devastating relationship with anybody, I'm not saying go knock on your abuser's door and say, let's sit down and have tea and crumpets and talk together. No. Know your situation. Be discerning, for God's sakes, okay? But if you're able to get to a point of discussion, or mediated discussion with an intermediary type person, a counselor, a therapist, right? Do it. If that's not feasible, go to the damn therapist yourself. If that's not affordable, talk to a close friend. Do something. But that's what this feels like. It feels like we're almost to the point of being able to release this a little more. No, we'll never forget, you know, certain tragedies and experiences in our lives, Taurus. But I think there's something here that says, I want to there's an energy here, or a sentiment here, rather. A sentiment in this Three of Swords in the reverse that says, I want to be over this completely. Or as completely as possible. I want to transcend, thank you, transcend, transmute, transfer. Those are all the trans I wanted to say earlier. Anyway, I want to be done with this as much as possible. Somebody's not completely done with this energy. It needs to be transferred. It needs to be transmuted. It needs to be transcended, whatever. Overall energy, Taurus, for February is the Knight of Cups. So more water sign energy. You have a lot of water sign energy with the Moon card and the Page of Cups in the reverse, and now the Knight of Cups in the overall. So here we are, talking about the lack of emotional maturity here. We go up a level with this in the overall. So again, I think that's speaking to whoever's in the star card position, where they have been trying to level up, so to speak. They've been trying to gain a larger perspective. They've been trying to release, heal and release, heal and release, heal and release the pains of the past. And I think that progression is happening. Are they to the point of mastery? No. Queen and King, those are the masters. So this person is making tracks. Could be you, could be someone else, could be more than one person. But ultimately, we're moving away from those repressed, those inauthentic or immature grips on the past. Or, you know, what's the shock? Yes, the shock. The impact, thank you, the impact of the past. Like I said here with the Three of Swords in reverse, there's a residual feeling, but I think the Knight of Cups is helping you make that journey forward a lot easier, okay? All right, Taurus, that is your reading for February. My God, was it a good one or what? No. Oh, my stomach. Ooh. Time to eat dinner. Anyway, Taurus, if this reading resonated with you, let me know by hitting the like button. Leave a comment if you want. You can share the video, of course. And if you haven't subscribed, my friends, go ahead and subscribe. That would be amazing. Taurus, I'll be back soon to do your mids. I'm also going to do the no communications in February. Those went off really well, however long ago. So I'm going to be putting those up. So if you're not in communication with a certain person of a different sign or another Taurus, feel free to watch those videos. And of course, if you're subscribed, you'll see all that stuff being uploaded here on YouTube anyway. Again, guys, if you want to get with me on a personal, all that information is in the description box below. And I thank you again for watching. Take care. Bye.